Noella, I cannot think of another housewife who stepped into her first season and so much happened so fast. We're only a few weeks into your debut season, but it feels like we're deep into it. What's it been like watching your life back in this way?
Very surreal. This is definitely not what I thought I was signing up for. If I had any inclination this would be it, I never would have done this. So in many ways, ignorance is bliss.
I never thought that this would be the end of our marriage, you know. I never thought that that would mean that I'm a single mom with our son. I just want my husband back. I want him to come and tell me what the hell's going on.
And I commend you for bearing it all. I think, to the surprise of many of your co-stars, how much you've bared so quickly. But we will unpack all that. I want to rewind because much has been made about how you made your way onto the show and into this group. And so I want to set the record straight on what that process was like, because
Thank you.
You say that I'm going to call him your estranged husband. So your estranged husband has claimed that you were obsessed with getting on the show, that this was like all you cared about.
Yeah.
You have said that he's the person who pushed you to do the show. So where's the truth live?
So the truth is Vicki Gunvalson, who was a housewife at that time, did insurance for my husband's life insurance. And somebody from casting had reached out to me for the show. And I squealed and said to my mom, oh, this is amazing, and told my husband, and he would talk to Vicki about it. So this was something that he was very aware of. We did our due diligence. We knew other couples. We were good friends with Braunwyn and Sean. He knew what this whole experience was. We would discuss like ways that this would benefit his brand, his business, his office. I had no desire to create some business to plug on the show. The irony is the first time I spoke with Heather and Terry privately, I said, we were going to steal your blueprint. And that was the plan up until the day he took his toothbrush and left the house, and still to this day hasn't told me why he left or, you know, what happened to the plan.
Got it. Well, that makes sense too, because I think there have been the doubters who are like, well, it looks like she inserted herself into Vicki's inner circle. And when that didn't work out, she was in Braunwyn's inner circle. But it sounds like these conversations had been happening for a while.
Now, anybody who lives in Orange County knows this is a very, very, very small town. You're kind of gonna you just go out to Mastro's. I mean, I'm gonna be at Mastro's tonight. Any future wannabe housewives, just pop into to Mastro's. If you want to send me an espresso martini, I'll put you in for casting.
You were friends, almost attached to the hip, judging by social media, with Braunwyn. It seems like it was a fast and furious friendship that did not last. Can you shed any light on what happened there?
Yeah. I mean, how do I say this? Because I'm hoping that the friendship isn't completely gone. So I don't even want to put out there to the universe on what the demise for that time was. But it timed out when I found out that I was going to get this opportunity. It was that same time that I had some trust issues with Braunwyn, and it's really just between us, I know. So I've not given up on it. I'm hoping that there will be a day that we can reconnect. It's just right now, timing is everything. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I can read between the lines there. What was your relationship with the show before you were on it? Were you a fan? Because I've heard people speculate that you were a super fan and that you know all the ins and outs of all these women's lives. But what was your relationship? How would you describe it?
I think it's like the kiss of death to admit this, but I mean, I'm all honesty all the time. So why stop now? Of course, I watch every single episode of every single season of almost every single franchise. I love Bravo. I love the show. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I don't understand why that's a bad thing to admit. But I also am a human being who's able to meet people and get to know them. And so that's why I can easily say that I'm shocked that Shannon and I bonded so quickly. But every single woman that I met, every single conversation that I had, all the relationships that were forged, they were sincere. And I think that you can see that and really was coming from my heart and really is genuine.
I think the thing that is maybe shocking people or making people wonder is you go to deep conversation immediately, which is not the norm for most people. So I think that's maybe the piece of the puzzle that people are like, well, is it genuine or is she performing? Because even I think Tamra Judge and Brandy Glanville said on Tamra's podcast, they think you're making scenes and performing for the cameras and like delivering a performance.
I just feel like it's just too much too soon, honestly. I mean, I think she's beautiful and everything, but
stunning.
We just started the season and she's already like breaking down in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm refusing to get out of the restaurant and making a scene. I'm like, it just seems phony.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to bring out. She wanted to get on the show for a very long time.
What do you say to that?
That really breaks my heart because I love Brandy. I think that she and I would have like probably some good sex, but but at least a really fun time. So that really sucks that somebody I've never met, is out there saying stuff that's not true. And I mean, one more ex-housewife who's clomping on to the newbie to try and have you say their name. It's kind of sad. And now I've learned that if I ever have a podcast, because one day my day will come that I will not be asked to come back on this. And if I have a podcast after that, I have failed in life.
I just had the worst week of my life, sweetheart.
I just reached out to you to ask if you need...
little girl. You are a rude little girl. I am not being rude to you.
We can't do this at two parties. This is just too much.
Let's unpack your and Jen, Dr. Jen, getting off on a weird foot.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to, as an outsider looking in, that she was being genuine, wanting to pull you aside, have a conversation, be like, check in on you. And you shut it down. So what happened there? Was there something more to the story with Jen there?
There was something more to the story. No, I did not get furiously upset with her because she tagged me in a post. It's weird. It's definitely weird, but it's not like end of the world, scorched earth kind of stuff. But no, there was some others. There was something that she did to hurt me and potentially my family a year ago before we were at Emily's house that lovely evening. And I said it to her face, and because it is so fourth wall, it just we didn't discuss it. But I think it's relevant, and I think it would help.
Can you give a little hint? I understand if you can't give it all away, but what could somebody do to damage and hurt your family?
She put words in my mouth that I never said.
Okay.
Noella's lashing out and bullying other women. I don't think there's ever an excuse to be rude and condescending and mean to somebody else.
Jen makes a comment that you are bullying the other women. What do you say to that?
Says the kettle. I mean, she's the bully. She gets all of the women over to her house to speak really horrible lies about me while I'm in fact going through this crazy, painful, traumatizing time with my very young family. So the fact that she just sits around, collects information to use against me, and then tries to get a cabal of women together who I'm just meeting. These are new relationships, and so she's actually technically known me the longest. Here she is like spreading just lies that she knows are lies for the sake of hearing her own voice. I think that's more bullying than anything that I ever gave to her. I mean, all I told her was that she was a rude little girl. And in that moment, she was a rude little girl.
This fourth wall thing that you bring up, do you plan to address that at reunion if it doesn't come to light before then?
100%. 100%. That's what reunions are for. Because I think inquiring minds need to know. She has a bit of a track record with me and with some others, which you'll see, of taking something that has like a little grain of truth to it and twisting it into something else in order for her to talk and for people to listen. And I find that to be artificial drama. I find that to be manufactured, and I kind of don't have time for that. It sucked that she really wanted to have a conversation when all the ladies were around, you know?
You're implying that she, instead of being real and taking time to contact you in the moment, she was saving it to have a moment and be in front of the cameras.
You said it, I did it.
Okay.
Yes, of course, obviously. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying.
All right. Well, to move off of Jen to the other person who I don't think has become your friend, Heather Dubrow. You two never seemed to figure out how to walk in line together. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you got off on the wrong foot and seemingly stayed on the wrong foot?
I love the way you asked that or just stated that, because you're correct. We never could walk together because she insists on walking ahead of everybody. She doesn't want to walk together. She doesn't want to hold hands. This doesn't feel as if we're friends in a friend group that are kumbaya. It feels more like there's Queen Heather and we're in the court. And quite honestly, initially, I was down for that. I was cool with that because it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm geeking out. Like I love Heather. So I was all about that. And then, you know, things happen. You're going to have to watch.
You are a liar and a thirsty girl, and I'm done.
Kind of shocked that you understand what thirsty means.
Let's start with the fake bitch comment.
Nicole told me that you called me either a phony bitch or a fake bitch.
Heather will be supportive.
What the does that, like, fake bitch have to say right now?
What?
We never really get the reason why you feel that way. There's this conversation about you feel like she muzzled Nicole from talking about the lawsuit drama beyond that first party. Is that the only reason you call her a fake bitch, or is there more to that? Because you do kind of walk back calling her that, but it seems that it seems you still believe her to be one, though.
You see me like, dude, I was tap dancing on ice for that. You see that. Like, I try so hard to just make peace. Like, I didn't want to talk about it. I felt ick. And I felt even my place to bring stuff up. I didn't like it. I was observing it. I was telling Gina, just heads up. I think this person's more interested in recruiting soldiers than genuine friendships. Just be wary. I was trying to give heads up to people that I knew could potentially get hurt, but at the same time not divulge Heather's secrets because, you know, it wasn't my place.
This is all born out of you feeling like she was trying to silence Nicole. Is there more?
No, I know she did.
Okay.
And no, of course there's more. Something shady happened in her subterranean, and it is discussed amongst the ladies. And it is something that was a pretty crazy story that was confirmed by various people. And
okay. Did you have this information you're talking about at the time you called her a fake bitch, or has this come to light later? You had it then.
Everything happened at her party. So crazy things happen at the party, and then Nicole leaves, and then I'm on the phone with Nicole. And I find out a lot that night. Just realizing, piecing things together and seeing how she's just a fake bitch.
Okay. I mean, you're trading barbs back and forth. You call her a narcissist in the episode. She calls you psycho vibes.
I'm so grateful that she called me psycho vibes because I really did feel a little badly about calling her a narcissist. So I'm really happy that she's also going dirty. So that way I don't feel like I can sleep well at night. So it's like, okay, good deal. I'm evenly matched.
You make this comment of shoving people into walls.
The start of our friendship was in your house with you slamming people against walls and yelling at people. And then
slamming people against walls?
I heard it. I was right near the staircase. But it was
slamming against walls.
And I feel like if there was footage of this, they would show it. So we haven't seen this moment.
Or maybe they're waiting for her to just be honest. I mean, something that would be very smart would just be like, you know what? I was protecting my husband, my brand, my business, and frankly, it's nobody's business. And maybe I blacked out and crossed the line, but keep my name out of your mouth. That I can respect. I would have been very happy with, let's never talk about this topic again. It's none of your business. But the fact that she's calling me psychotic and a liar, and apparently I need to go home and take care of my children and my mental, emotional well-being because I'm, unless I view her as perfect, I can't be friends with these women. It has to come out now.
When you said on Watch What Happens Live that Nicole's voice was taken from her, are you referring to Heather silencing her and telling her not to say anything?
Yes,
okay.
Heather and
Okay. What was your relationship with Nicole like before the show?
We knew each other for years. We were like super close, super crazy close. So, and then of course, leading up to this experience, we were speaking every single day for hours. So, I mean, and then all of a sudden that stops. I knew when something was off. And it was painful to watch. It was just painful to see that like something in her, like a light had dimmed in her because she felt torn, between her own voice and between a voice that was being whispered in her ear.
We know that Nicole walked away from this group at some point. I think it's sooner rather than later in the timeline of where we are in the episodes. What was your reaction when she decided to distance herself? Because you come into this thinking, I have a buddy who I get to experience this with, and I have a built-in support system who's then gone.
Yeah, well, when the built-in support system turns on you, you're kind of okay with their departure. At some point, she kind of crossed over to the dark side, so I was okay with that. But it was kind of very serendipitous, like 1 week after filming that we just bumped into each other at Mastro's, just coincidentally. And we just instantly, it was just like, oh.
So taking the show out of the equation kind of then fixed the rip that had happened there.
Well, I think her treatment by the person who was in her ear and seeing that was the actual fake friendship and seeing that was the manipulation, that was the thing that was actually toxic, and her being able to see that for herself, that I think that was it. Because I've never been anything but a great friend to her for years.
She got a lot of flack for how she treated you at what I will call the tears on my tits lunch.
Come on.
I'm having a breakdown right now. I feel like I'm having a breakdown.
I don't feel comfortable.
My life is falling apart.
You chalked that up on Watch What Happens Live to the Heather of it all and Heather being in her ear. But it also seems that what we saw in the episode was condensed, that you were there for much longer than we saw. So these moments of her looking cold-hearted, I don't think were an accurate representation of maybe what happened that day.
I mean, really what we see is a girlfriend being embarrassed that her girlfriend's drunken in public and wanting to get me into a car and get me home safe. That's really it. I see what the viewers do see, but there is, there's no malice, but yeah, it's beautiful to have her back in my life and to see that she's found that voice, and she's back. My baby's back.
Well, this all leads up to you getting iced out of the first group trip to Mexico. How did that make you feel to know that everybody was invited but you?
And the crazy thing is, like, I'm the one with the plane. I actually have a legitimate Gulf Stream. I mean, I won't after this divorce, but so that was kind of weird. Where it's like, wait a minute, I'm the one who does these kind of things, and I'm the one who, God, that sounds so snobby, but facts. So yeah, no, it was very weird, but I understood why. I mean, I was in that podcast room. You were there too. Like, we all saw it. Like, I completely understand why. I would be disinvited by our hostess. But yeah, the Cabo gets very complex.
Yeah, because while you're not there at the start, you show up at some point. So how does that work that you wind up there?
See that one. Yeah, that's it. It's all there, but you're gonna have to stay tuned for that.
Do you stand by going? And
I was invited, and I thought that it would at that point be rude, and I was hopeful that this was a good step in the right direction. Oh, was I wrong? But
is this where the "you gave my daughter pornography" conversation happens?
Yes.
I didn't want to invite you because you gave my daughter pornography as a gift.
You're gonna want to watch that one. That's amusing.
Did you give Max pornography?
Yeah, that's what I do on my off days. I go buy children pornography. No, shockingly, Heather used her words incorrectly, and she put out a very salacious and somewhat criminal allegation because she kind of needed to get up something more salacious than shoving people against walls.
Okay.